Hi, good morning. I am Kostas. I will provide the operational update. But before we go there, I want to just manage some expectations here. For those that know me, know that I like to talk. That's not a problem. Most of the time, stopping is actually the problem. But put me in a public speaking kind of situation, that's not ideal. That's not my forte. So, yeah, my mind is kind of blocked, and I'm going from... Yeah, I'm going from normal thinking person to just, I don't know, dial-up noises or whatever. I will try to be brief and spare you. Yeah, let's dive into it. We will be touching upon a couple of topics, loop incident at EUNetworks that we had earlier. We have one migration related to TECL mailing lists and some data in our NOC status. Yeah, works. So what happened? In March 18th, we had a loop incident at EUNetworks data center. What happened was a loop was formed via our partner network, causing, of course, Mac mobility, Mac learning. Then that switched to led to connectivity issues. Then BGP sessions broke down, and of course, increased BAM traffic. So that's expected in a loop situation. That's not something weird. But why did this happen, right? How? Are there not any fail-safes for that? Yeah, well, as you can imagine, I guess, loops outside of our administrative and operational domain are, well, not that rare. They're actually pretty common. Having a loop towards us is a very basic troubleshooting technique for any cross-connect or anything. So it is happening more than you would expect. But missing config on our side didn't really help. Well, it helped the loop, it didn't help us. The ACL, what happened was the ACL was not applied in the interface as it should, which was due to some automation failure happened earlier a while ago. What happened was that there was an automation change, provisioning change that failed, and then, well, rollback also failed, so that didn't put back the actual configuration as it should. Well, yeah, then you would say, wait, there is no script for you to check that the actual config that you have is not what you expect to have. Well, there are actually a couple of scripts, but EUNetworks is getting decommissioned, and the data center is closing down. We are moving away. Customers are migrated. Actually, with that, our last AMS-IX switches from NL are getting decommissioned, which basically means that it's going to go away in a while. And the script, while it was actually maintained, it was not supporting AMS-IX anymore. So, yeah, takeaway for everyone: please support all the systems that you actually have in production, not some of them. Support the ones that are going to be decommissioned soon. We know that this is not going to be soon enough, and that they are legacy because they're there for a reason. So, yeah, outages do not discriminate, so you should not in how you maintain your stuff. Yeah, now let's touch upon the TECL to status page migration. Probably most of you have read an email, well, few emails we have sent in April and May that we are migrating away from TECL. Probably you all already know what TECL is. It's a mailing list that we have for every IXP in which we basically announce. They're used for multiple reasons, but we announce also incidents and maintenance there. So what we want to do is migrate some of that. Why? Well, there are some problems. I'm going to touch upon a few only, not all of them, because otherwise you will be bored. But the main one is, well, mailing list code of contact is not really respected, let's say, in a good way. Auto replies is, yeah, it's there a lot. It's a plague. You probably remember the auto reply loop that we had in May 1st. Of course, the day that something is changing, it's going to be when it breaks. But also because we have many IXPs to maintain, which basically means that we have many TECLs that we need to maintain, but also for any kind of common resource that we are going to announce or it's affected by an incident, well, we need to create multiple tickets and then announce them in multiple TechL. So that's a big issue and time-consuming. But of course, when you want to communicate something via a mailing list and you have a mail communication issue, that's kind of a problem. So yeah, what's the solution? We announced the status.amsix.net. This is status page, which is basically a publicly available website where you can go and check what we have announced. We announce incidents and maintenances there. Anyone can subscribe. You can also check which kind of incidents and notifications you can receive. It's very granular in that. You can choose XPs, specific information, specific equipment, and the like. And, well, finally, no more auto-replies, so that's a plus. And then the bonus is that when we have multiple XPs affected, like website, email communication, phone system, portal, whatever, then we don't need multiple tickets to create and announce. We just have one ticket to rule them all. So then it's a lot easier and more scalable for us, a lot better. So yeah, that's how it was in May 1st, with a lot of emails back and forth. Sorry about that. And that's how it looks now, which is, I think, a lot better. So yeah, we touched upon the fact that we are migrating incidents and maintenances away from TechL. We did that already in May 1st, but mailing lists have, first of all, there are more than TechL, more other mailing lists, but also TechL itself has more uses. So what about that? Yeah, some of them are facilitation of customer-to-customer communication. You might want to announce your maintenance issues, ask a question to other peers, whatever. Also, sometimes we announce some general AMS-IX announcements, something we need to inform you about. But also there are the normal automated announcements for any customer that joins a peering LAN. So what will happen with that? Well, there will be an announcement in June, so it's not going to be covered by status page. It's going to be something else. But it's coming. So check your emails. Last but not least, scaling the NOC. Well, we have some changes in the NOC in terms of how do we plan everything, how do we have people actually supporting 24/7. The initial setup, this has been happening for a while already, is that we have our first level support. This is since late 2015, beginning 2016, if I remember correctly. We have first level support at Kwanzaa. They are helping us there. They have the 24/7, 365 shifts. They have shifts around the clock. They have we have eyes on the screen. They check our alerts, monitoring stuff, customer replies, customer tickets, pick up the phone and everything. Then we have the second level of support, which is our in-house NOC engineers. They need to also support 24/7, so there are daily NOC shifts, on-call shifts. So normal working hours, of course, they are doing their job, but after office hours, they are on call. Well, daily, because it's getting a lot sometimes. And then we have the third level of support, which is our senior NOC engineers. They have weekly shifts, and they are basically there to support the second level and also help with any kind of incidents. So what is changing? Well, the first two are changing, and the third one is mostly the same. Not many changes there. But why? Well, we have overworked people. The work outside of working hours is consistently more than it was in the past. So it can't be that someone will work 8 hours normally and then will work 4 hours on end constantly every day. This also creates planning issues for projects. When you are assigned a project, you have a meeting next day. If something happens operationally during the night or customer during the afternoon, evening, whatever, then you might not be able to join that meeting. The on-call engineer, though, even though they shouldn't, the on-call engineer sometimes they feel this due to their dedication. Basically, they have this psychological pressure that they should join, they should come in the morning, they should, because things are happening, they want to help their colleagues, they want to support the customers. So that's also pressure for them. But as I said, they can't always work next day. There are legal and compliance limitations. They can't work for specific hours after the last call during the night. Every call in the night, it's assumed for specific work hours. There are some limitations there. Well, also another one is FLS. Any FLS inherently has high turnover. It's the stepping stone for every engineer to get some experience, knowledge, and then grow. So this, of course, doesn't help in the sense that people go, there is high turnover, they need to get trained again. So this is a vicious circle. And then we got also community feedback that AMS-IX NOC feels more distant from the customers. Kind of understandable because we have a first-line support. But we want to fix that. So what are the actual alternatives? There are a few. Well, offer 9 to 5 only support? No. Weekly shifts for L2, even though it might help some cases, it's definitely not going to help with overworked people. Then you can have 2 people on call during the day in various different setups, either 12-hour shifts or 2 at the same time to handle things, to handle the workload, or even 1 for NL, 1 for remotes. That doesn't really work. So what we went with was with FTS via EOR. So now the question is, what the hell is that? So yeah, some definitions pretty much needed. FTS is follow the sun, probably some of you know already. It's a 24/7 global, basically, workflow where a task or a ticket is being assigned from one team to the next following the sun, hence the name. And also EOR, it's employer of record. This is a service provider that actually provides and hires people, employs staff on behalf of their customer, in which case it's us. The customer, us, we maintain daily management of the people, of the staff, but anything HR related, the employer of record service is actually taking care of that. This is also happening because otherwise you need to have a legal presence and a local presence in that company, in the country that you want to employ people on, and that's not really easy for our scale. So when with that, what are the pros? Well, we tackle high workload because now you have 3 8-hour shifts, let's say, people working different time zones. They work for 8 hours only. They can handle the high workload at times. This gives also the customers direct access to AMS-IX NOC, which to NOC support, engineer support, which basically alleviates the distance feeling, which was one of the feedback that we received. But also, it is providing faster and more quality support because they are talking to an engineer directly. The no shifts lead to better project planning, of course, because anyone that works 9 to 5 in NL, for example, they know what their plan is, that nothing what will happen during the night will actually affect them, so we can plan ahead. We can have the ability to adjust each team separately, so if there is high workload in a specific time zone, we can scale the team only and not everything. And then, of course, there are growth opportunities for the employees. But that's not all. We had 70% less, we will have 70% less on-call shifts because we only have, well, the L3, as we said, this remains the same, but also only weekends. We need to cover the weekends time. The overall NOC workforce will actually increase by 60%. The operational specific people will increase by 85%, but only in the expense of 10% more expenses. This leads to a mean cost per engineer drop of 35%, more or less, and of course, increased growth and scaling opportunity, and of course, the possibility that we can use the same setup for other potentially for other functions. But there are some cons, obviously. Well, increased expenditure, that's one. Increased team management, because now you actually need to maintain and manage people in different time zones, so that requires more line management. workload, but also more communication, asynchronous communication between the teams. This actually leads to some changes in our procedures and processes, but this is mostly affecting the NOC specific ones and not company-wide. Some company-wide might be affected. And then one more thing that we need to take into account is how do we handle on-site support? Because up until now, the on-call could actually go on-site if there was something. That's pretty rare because of our PXCs, but still can happen, so we need to find a solution for that and have something. So what does it look like? These are the time zones. Well, 9 to 5, as we said, is covered by NL. 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. it will be covered by Costa Rica, and 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. our night time is covered by Philippines. There is a caveat there, kind of, you can see that in the slide. We have daylight savings. They don't. Which is, let's hope that we also want in a bit. But that makes it a bit more complicated for the guys to basically remember that they need to shift, to change their working hours twice per year. And these are the teams that we have at the moment. We have started last year. We started before summer, reviewing CVs, interviewing, everything, and then finally hiring via employer of record. 2 persons started last year, Kenneth and, where is Kenneth? Somewhere here. And Christian, they're here. They started in September 1st, and then earlier this year we started also interviewing and hiring for a 3rd person in the Philippines and 3 people in Costa Rica, 2 of whom are handled already, or we are onboarding them as we speak. This year, they started earlier this week, but we still have 1 pending position. And yeah, some fun facts which might be interesting. In 2025, we basically interviewed 20 engineers. We onboarded 2, which is around 10%, well, not around, 10% specifically onboarding rate. But earlier this year, we have had 13 engineers interviewed in Costa Rica and 13 in Philippines. We hired 2 and 1, respectively, having 15% and 8% onboarding rate. Note that these were the engineers interviewed, not the interviews that we had. They were a lot more, and not the CVs that we received. So they were a lot more. I think that's it. Any questions? Have a question?
Thank you, Kostas.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you mention everything you wanted to mention?
Probably it's blank now.
Why is there such a large fan base in the audience?
I don't know. It's not on purpose.
I can tell.
I didn't say anything.
But you love your job, yes?
Yes.
I can tell the people around you. Yeah. Right. Any questions, you think, or they did? Are afraid?
Well,
I saw already a hand here. Shall we ask? Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
Lot of talk. So you mentioned 3rd line support, no change.
Yes.
2nd line support, detail change.
3rd line support, no change.
1st line support.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
1st line support.
Yeah, 1st line support is basically what we have now outsourced in Kwanzaa. 1st and 2nd, we will collapse basically in one, having the employer of record set up, which basically means that the customers will get direct access to someone, and that someone will be an actual engineer handling 1st and 2nd line.
Okay, so you're going from a 3-line setup to a combined...
Yeah, 1 and 2 is together, basically.
Clear. Thank you.
All right. In the back. Yes. It's good for the steps. For Rick. This is my Rick. Rick is back, right? Hi, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Yes.
Thank you, Rick. Hi, Martin Rabin-Sissi, and former NOC manager of AMS-IX. So we tried this, well, we thought about doing this about 13 years ago. And then we were not permitted to do this. And the concerns were that employees in remote countries and remote jurisdictions would have access to confidential data of customers in the Netherlands. Well, we were then interviewing people in the US, which has a bit of a different cybersecurity strategy than Costa Rica and the Philippines. But I was wondering, are you concerned about this? Have you thought about this, putting measures into place, etc.?
Yeah, so we thought about it, yes. Well, actually, InfoSec and legal and compliance have been involved in the whole journey. It actually took us around 9-10 months to wrap up the contract with our employer of record provider, where we were reviewing their contract, adjusting accordingly, adding addendums to it, so we can make sure that we at least cover whatever we have or the equivalent of what we have in NL. Yes, there will be people outside of NL that have access. We still store everything ourselves, right? So as we do now. But it's the same as when our engineers travel and they go abroad. That's the same thing. They are basically abroad. They can have their laptop stolen. They can have the same thing. They can be hacked. So the security part of it is not. We don't want to change anything in the sense that we apply the same standards across the board. So whatever applies to us here will apply to them, exactly the same. They need to abide the same rules, same procedures, same everything. And we have thought about that. Contractually, there are contracts in place. Some colleague of mine, we can talk if you want, if you have some specific question or concern. But yes, indeed, we have thought about that. Also, when I joined, when I joined in 2015, there was a small discussion there. How do we go about handling that? Back then, we went with first-level support, outsourced to Kwanza. And the reason for that was primarily that we are not in that scale that we can actually accommodate people across the globe. And it was cheaper for us to have Kwanza and also, of course, in NL, so it alleviated those security issues. But now there are not many options. Back then also, employer of record was not prominent, and you actually had to have physical presence in that country, have an actual company there, abide by all the laws, have people there, boots on the ground, HR, whatever. So that makes it a lot easier now, because they handle all the compliance, law, legal stuff, work law related, and we basically get the bill for that.
Okay. Great question, thank you. I'm looking at, I don't see any hands anymore, Kostas.
You don't need to have.
No, don't need to. I like this, man, I like this. Can I get one more warm applause for Kostas, please?
Thank you.